The video quickly garnered strong reactions from people shocked by its brutality.
A sledgehammer road rage attack caught on camera in Philadelphia. Take a look at your screen. This surveillance video shows a driver smashing the windows on an SUV in this parking lot.
The case is already making headlines across the country and in the United Kingdom.
We certainly want to provide assistance and help and justice for what appears to be a victim of a serious crime.
And a driver who quickly gets out of the truck with a sledgehammer and starts swinging. A passenger in the silver car opens the door and falls out. And in the distance on the right of your screen, you can see the passenger get hit with the sledgehammer.
Eddie Thaxton and George Gaynor work across the street and arrived on the scene minutes after the incident.
Society today is spiraling out of control, I think, and these are some of the results.
Why are you guys flipping me off?
The videos are all over YouTube.
You're gonna get mad.
Just this year in Adams County, we saw our own road rage incident turn violent. A driver stabbed a guy with scissors in the middle of the road on southbound Federal.
It was pretty crazy because it was early in the morning.
And then there's this one caught on tape in Austin. A man attacks another guy with a bat while he fights back with a stick.
It's almost like being in a movie or a video game and you're getting revenge on someone.
Road rage at the extreme. A Florida driver irate with a motorcyclist in Oklahoma. A tailgating truck appears to run a car off the road. Drivers leaving their cars coming to blows. It happens a lot more than you think.
People are so quick to rage when they get behind the wheel because stress levels are at an all-time high, and it causes more aggression to come out.
Maybe most alarming, a majority of Americans believe road rage is getting worse.
In May, an argument between drivers turned into a fight in the streets of Houston. Then one driver rammed the other's car and took off.
Or get out of their vehicle in a fit of rage to confront another driver. And nearly 80% say they've exhibited aggressive driving behaviors, including tailgating, yelling at, or honking the horn at another driver. That's 4 out of 5 Americans say, I did something out of rage on the road.
Absolutely, and we found that very shocking.
Photographer Alex Stone was taking pictures of a car when the driver of this giant SUV lost it.
I thought he was going to hit my equipment, and I was scared for myself as well.
A new AAA Foundation study finds nearly 80% of drivers express significant anger, aggression, or road rage behind the wheel, and 47% of drivers yelled at another driver.
They hope these letters and a visit from a trooper sends a strong message.
There's just a mentality now that a lot of drivers just feel like their lives are more important than everybody else.
You can see a man walk around the back of the car where he's pointing and gesturing. Then another man, a witness to the shooting, walks up. He's watching it all unfold. They believe this shooting started as a road rage incident in the area of Simsville Road. People in Alabaster today told me they were surprised by the shooting, but road rage is all too common.
I guess people are they have no regards to human life, period.
I first became interested in this concept of narcissism many years ago when I read Christopher Lasch's The Culture of Narcissism, published in 1979. I think it was the first book of real cultural criticism that I read, and there were things that he said about certain developments within our culture, society, that just seemed to make a lot of sense to me about what was going on. Later on, I became familiar with some of the works of Erich Fromm, his book, The Heart of Man, Its Genius for Good and Evil, and particularly The Anatomy of Human Destructiveness, in which Fromm seeks to understand both the individual narcissism in the person of Adolf Hitler and group narcissism in the context of post-World War I Germany. Well, narcissism, according to every study I've heard about, I'm not the expert, but Karen, I'm sure, will confirm this, has done nothing but grow in the last 30 years. Most recently, a couple of research psychologists, the Narcissism Epidemic, published in 2009. Interesting, again, the word epidemic.
Now, the grandiose are the ones who are the charming, and I will say politicians. They tend to be extroverted, and they can do no wrong. Now, the vulnerable narcissists tend to be more passive-aggressive, but the grandiose narcissists are angry and usually take it out loudly.
And I think that's it. Like in my classes, my students they do things for one another all the time. They communicate, they cooperate. But if you got them out of that environment and put them into, and I'm not slamming on Facebook. I actually am not on Facebook, so I probably am not the expert to speak on this, but I do know that certain people will get onto Facebook, and I know you guys probably talked about this. You will say things in an anonymous environment that you would never say to that person's face. And there's something there about this environment that allows you to be this person, but then if you put that same person in a different environment, so Michael, you were talking about the group, right? That group and that group think, and so I just think environment has quite a bit to do with all that little narcissism that we all have. Right. It's a dial. It's not whether you are a narcissist or not, we all are. It's how much do we dial it up and how much do we dial it back.
Well, not even mentioning trolls, because trolls don't happen in class as much as they do in an online class.
Do you think narcissism is getting worse?
Oh yeah.
Oh, Kitty, that was pretty quick.
22 years of teaching, it seems like it has increased tremendously. Yeah.
Noticeably.
Noticeably. The lack of empathy, particularly the lack of empathy and the feeling of entitlement. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Having relatives in a lot of countries, I really notice it in this country. I have relatives in numerous European countries, including a half-sister there, and cousins, and then Canada, because that's where I'm from. I see it here, and do you know that the English language is the only one that has I as capital? It's something I read somewhere. I don't know if it's true or not, but it's the only language that has I as a capital letter.
We're the only ones?
The English language, yeah. That's what I read.
Is that true?
But that whole I thing that keeps...
No, is that true? Why don't they capitalize?
I read it somewhere. I don't know. I didn't look further, but that's what I read somewhere.
It's not in Spanish. It's not in...
Yeah, in Hungarian it's not.
Italian is not.
Yeah.
I see an increase in the Indian culture. It parallels the same thing. The culture is changing. I mean, youngsters are being brought up differently, and I think the Western culture is permeating all other cultures. So kids do have a sense of entitlement these days as compared to when I was growing up. So.
According to Gray, he had a really good article about why is this happening. And one reason that he thought is, in the 1970s, we did have this self-esteem movement. And this movement was, you're special, everybody wins, we have participation trophies, everybody is the student of the month, and it was to try to build up children's self-esteem. And of course, for psychologists, almost immediately we saw problems with this self-esteem movement. We would say to students, you can be anything you want to be. You just have to wish. I'm sorry. Some of us are not smart enough to be doctors, to be philosophy people, to work with criminal justice. No, you can't do everything. Do you know? I'm sorry, Beverly, probably professional basketball, because of your height, is probably not going to happen. So when we tell people these things, we need to be honest with them, right? But we didn't, and we said you can be everything, and it's a participation process. Okay, another one is, oh yeah, we can be blamed for this. This pressure to achieve. We have, and we noticed this really 70s, 80s, that we have been really pressuring our children in our society, I'll say American society, Westernized society, to compete, to be successful. There's a lot of pressure not to just do good for doing good, volunteering. And this whole idea of looking out for number one, and we can see this with the Olympics. Somebody wins a bronze. Oh, you're only third in the world instead of first. I'm like, oh my God, this is the best. This person got bronze. This is fabulous, but that's not what they say. Oh, too bad, you know. But anyway, so we have a lot of pressure to be number one, the top 10, whatever. We've given this to thousands, probably near 1 million college students. And what we have found that the numbers of the average narcissistic score is going up. And this personality inventory also measures empathy. And we're finding those empathy scores to go down. You're nodding, yes, I think that's kind of true. So since the 1970s when we started giving this, we have seen this narcissism going up and empathy going down. And again, we've measured it about 30 years.